Mordhau's Horde mode is absolutely brutal. Tons of enemies, overwhelming negative odds, big bad mini bosses, and you're just trying to not die. It's a really fun concept and works great with the Modrhau combat system. I've managed to beat this bad boy twice, and I know how hard it is, so it's time for me to show you how to beat it too. This guide is going to be split into two sections. The second half will be the actual guide, and the first half will be for you absolute degenerate animals who want to beat this mode through any means necessary, and to be honest, I respect that. Or maybe you're just looking to farm gold and XP, since this is a really good way to do so. The Scumbag way. It's really simple. Spawn in on Grad Camp or Mountain Peak and grab yourself a hoe, baby. I am not judging. Use the hoe to clean out the first few waves of enemies and grab yourself a longbow or crossbow for 150 points. Go climb a ladder up one of the various towers and shoot the ranged enemies ASAP. Then slowly clean out all the melee enemies who cannot climb ladders because I guess they've got low IQ or something. And then at safe opportunities or in between wave spawns, restock your bolts or arrows, maybe grab yourself another bow of some kind for extra ammo each wave, and return to your tower of choice. Whenever you have reasonable excess coin, get yourself some armor and some healing items which will help you a lot, preventing you from randomly getting one shot by, let's say, a firebomb or a ranged attack. That's it. That's how you beat this game mode. If you want to have minimal fun but maximum results, go climb a tower and camp there.
I didn't even feel.
Upon completion, you'll be dished out a pile of XP and gold, and since this method is really easy to do, it is a valid form of gold and XP farm. So if you're desperate for more cosmetics, well, there you go. Okay, so the actual game mode and guide now. From all the guides I've checked out on YouTube, or written versions online, in general, I see a lot of people saying, take your time, work together, be patient, and frankly, I'm not convinced these people have actually beaten this game mode. That's really useless information, and I could apply it to like every video game ever, I swear. So let's just jump right into this guide. In Horde mode, you're going to face waves and waves of AI enemies, and after you beat each wave, the next wave will get harder, with more enemies that are stronger and more dangerous, and also worth more points. You have to take risks, and the economy of your character needs to be thought out if you're going to beat this bad boy legitimately. Every time you kill an enemy in melee, you actually get a little restore of your HP, and if you grab yourself a weapon that's, say, 50 points or above, you're able to cut off the head of most melee enemies with one well-placed horizontal swing. As you can see me doing right here, it's really effective. I play in third person to make this easier, one wide swing and a step into the pack of enemies chasing me. As soon as it collides, you know, they block it or it takes off a head, I turn and back up to create space, avoiding their return blows. Then I turn around and go in for another horizontal swing and repeat the process. That is called kiting. So my advice to you at the very beginning is to save up for a 50-point weapon like the basic axe and allow that to carry you for several waves. During that time, pick yourself up a medium chest and legs to protect yourself from nasty hits you're going to take in the melee now and then, and a light helmet to protect that soft head of yours should an archer have some sick skills. You'll have spent around 370 points at this stage to be clothed and armed. At this far in, maybe 7 or 8 waves in, it's time to consider what ranged weapon you're going to take. I personally love the crossbow because it's high damage. If you headshot, most enemies are going to drop to the ground instantly. And the beauty of this weapon is that you're able to instantly fire it the moment you pull it out, assuming you've already loaded it. So the reason you actually want a ranged weapon is for various reasons. It's from mini bosses and the ranged enemies. Maybe there's a big pack of dudes running at you, and you see that Robin Hood looking guy in the back. Swap to your crossbow, drop that fool before he can start laying into you with his own bow while you're kiting the fight. And do the same with throwing knife enemies, firebomb dwarves, or maybe that one guy who looked at you funny. Yeah, I don't like you, I'm gonna kill you. Once you've cleaned out the main ranged threats, you can use it to loosen up shield enemies or work on the giant who's making you sweat in between kiting. Meanwhile, the big boy melee weapons, these are gonna cost you up to 500 points. They're strong, but very expensive. And so I always recommend the Zweihander for 400 points. It's insane damage, great range, and it makes melee kiting even easier since you're safer with that range. Any big weapon like this will allow you to swing much wider as well into packs of enemies, making multi-kills much more possible. You can also choose to grab a 200 or 250 weapon like the battle axes or executioner's blade. These are fine options because they increase your damage significantly from the basic 50-point axe, and of course the range of it is better too. It's a reasonable choice if you're not confident in your kiting ability to last long enough for those more expensive weapons. At this point, you're a good chunk of waves in, and and you've got a strong melee weapon and a ranged weapon to take out the threats. So gear up in your heavy armor at last. This is going to protect you from ranged attack spam and help you face off against mini bosses with less fear of being one shot. At the end game point we're at now, you want to keep stocked on ammo and bandages to heal throughout the waves, and spend any excess points you have to help gear up your friends. You can drop weapons by pressing G, so the stronger your team is, the stronger your chances are of winning, of course. That's the economy I choose to run, but there are variations. At spawn, you're going to find 3 chests: the 50 pointer, the 100 pointer, and the 200 pointer. It's randomized loot for varied expense. Sometimes this can be amazing. I once opened a 100-point chest and actually pulled out a Zweihander. That was heaven. That's 300 points I saved. And I got it in the early game as my first item. Meanwhile, I've also opened a 200-point chest and found myself a bear trap. Yes, 1 bear trap. Those are worth 10 points. As you can clearly see, it can horribly backfire, and it can also pay off to an extreme level. So it's up to you if you want to risk that, but if it does go wrong, get ready to beg your friends for their old weapons that they upgraded from. Now let's talk enemies and strategy. You've got many different types of enemies, from peasants to fully fledged knights, but I'm going to divide them into categories that matter: melee, ranged, and the hybrids. Melee enemies are the easiest to handle. You can always outrun them by just putting away your big weapon, holding a bandage in your hands, or just having your fists out. You'll run faster like that. Just create space whenever you're getting overwhelmed. Try to focus down the hurt enemies to restore HP whenever needed. In general, avoid risks, take your time, you have space. Ranged enemies can be quite irritating. There's a few ways to handle them. Yes, you should shoot them when you can, but that's not always an option. Never head into open ground where there's no cover to avoid those projectiles. Always check the group of enemies you're facing and identify the ranged enemies, where they are, how many they are, and if you have any chasing you, kite in a circle around cover. This will break their line of sight and they'll have to come chase you, or they'll just keep attacking with their ranged attacks and they'll waste all the projectiles. Every ranged enemy has limited ammo, thank the Lord. So if you kite them long enough, they will just run out. No more arrows in Robin Hood's bow, so all he can do is come chase you as a melee enemy. And that's easier to deal with. This actually applies to all rangers. They can only throw so much at you before they have to come punch you instead. Finally, we have the hybrid enemies. These jerks will hurt you badly if they do catch you in a melee, but they also throw poop, knives, and shoot their arrows at you too. Probably the most dangerous enemy, and you should kill them ASAP. Break line of sight on them, just like the rangers, but prioritize killing them with ranged attacks or well-placed melees as soon as you can. A great tip is, when you've got that many enemies chasing you, you can actually use the pack of melees trying to hit you and stab you as cover, and if you place them between yourself and the ranged enemy trying to, shoot at you, they'll end up accidentally hitting and shooting each other, which wastes ammo and in fact does hurt them. For example, the firebomb dwarves often team kill as you kite enemies through their own fire. It can be really effective to keep them alive and use their own firebombs to even the odds. Be careful not to let them live too long, because they will be throwing fire at you, and that's bad. When you do get some mini bosses like the big armored knight, giants, or even the final boss, I recommend as a team you kite him around, finding something easy like a stairwell that's easy to jump down, go up it and drop down with the mini boss chasing you, and your team can just lay into him with their bows and crossbows. Of course, you can face these guys in melee. I've done it a few times. It's very scary but very fun, but I wouldn't recommend it. And there you have it, my tips and tricks to beating Horde Mode and Mordhau. I love this game mode. It's really fun, it can be stupid funny half the time, and it's just a great one to do with your friends. So I wish you the best of luck beating it yourself, and if you have any tips that I didn't include in this guide, well then let me know in the comments. You can come say hi to me live via my Twitch channel linked in the description, but for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and I'll see you next time.